The following podcast contains discussion of domestic violence and other sensitive topics. Listener discretion is advised.
It was something that was really unheard of, right? Like, we're not talking about science and technology that we have now. Like, I was coined as like the miracle child. I think when you're a kid, like, you can't conceptualize like why something is wrong, but you can feel that it's wrong. And you can know that every time this man picks me up at the door, my mom is hiding behind the door. And every time I get in his car, I just get this weird feeling. I know this person, he was my biological father technically. And in the state of New Hampshire, he had custody and rights. He didn't really want me. He didn't care about me. He didn't want to create a relationship with me. It was that I was a pawn in the game with my mom.
So you didn't feel any sense of love or warmth or like he actually cared about you?
Absolutely not.
Wow.
No. It felt incredibly lonely. And I think I'm still wrestling with that feeling even now that I don't have parents.
Hey everyone, this episode you're about to hear is yet another example of a powerful story that we have here on the Seacoast. This area is full of them, and we are honored that people like Lauren Atwood trust us to tell impactful stories like hers. We love doing this work, and to do even more of it for years to come, I need your help. Luckily, there's one quick and free thing that you can do right now. Visit the Seacoast Stories podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube, and just press the follow button. When you do this, it opens up a world of opportunities on our end so that we can tell more stories like Lauren's. Thank you so much in advance for doing that and for being here today. Now on to today's story. Welcome to Seacoast Stories, a podcast about the people and businesses of New Hampshire and Maine. I'm Troy Farkas. A core part of my life philosophy is this: you never know what people are going through. The people we walk by in downtown Portsmouth, the woman we're next to in a yoga class, the man across from us at the bar. We truly don't know what wins they're celebrating, what breakthroughs that they're on the verge of, or what demons they're battling. Even the most successful people we know, our Seacoast superheroes, they've endured so much to be where they are today, and Lauren Atwood is a prime example of that. She's the co-owner of Otter Creek Homes alongside her husband, Chris. They're based in Northampton, and their business serves Greenland, Stratham, Portsmouth, Newcastle, Northampton, Rye, and Kittery. In a nutshell, Otter Creek brings your dream home to life. Chris's team builds the home from the ground up, and Lauren's team designs it from the inside out. They deal with luxury homes. They are booked to the gills, and as a result, they have built quite the beautiful Seacoast life for themselves. Lauren, who is 33 years old, now has 2 kids, a thriving business, and a day-to-day life that, at one point, seems completely out of reach. Her story in her words in just a moment. But I do want to remind you that if you or anyone you know finds themselves in a domestic or sexual violence situation, the Seacoast's go-to resource for navigating these challenges is Haven. To learn more about Haven and their services, please visit the link in the show notes. This episode is also presented by Otter Creek Homes' new neighbors, Degree Wellness Seacoast. We are so appreciative of Degree and their support as they embark on their new chapter here on the Seacoast. Without further ado, here's my conversation with Lauren Atwood.
I don't typically do this. I usually skip ahead in one's life story, start it in college or after college, but your story truly starts from the day that you were born.
Yeah.
Can you take me back into the circumstances surrounding when you were born 33 years ago?
Yeah. So I was born April 6th, 1993. And I was born out of an abusive situation. My mom was abused into labor. I was born 3 months early, weighing 1 pound, 3 ounces, which if you could picture that, that's like honestly like the size of your hand.
1 pound, 3 ounces.
1 pound, 3 ounces.
That feels like a medical anomaly. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It is one of those things that I think I've normalized because it was my experience and it was just like what was normalized in my life. Like you were this medical anomaly. Like you were not going to walk. You were not going to probably be able to hear. You could have sight issues. And you could have physical disabilities or delays. And so, yeah, it was something that was really unheard of, right? Like we're not talking about science and technology that we have now. Like I was coined as like the miracle child.
How did you survive that? That's 3 months of not developing.
Yeah, I was in an incubator for 3 straight months, growing outside of the womb. My lungs were like paper thin. Like when I had my daughters and I got to that stage of being, I think it was 24 weeks. And I just had this moment of like, oh my God, like delivering my babies right now at 24 weeks pregnant feels so scary with a healthy pregnancy, not to mention with all the added stress of abuse, et cetera, that comes along with it, you know?
Yeah. So your mother was forced against her will into an early delivery.
Yes. Yeah. It was a physical altercation between her and my biological father that resulted in some blunt force, if you will, that caused her for the pregnancy not to be viable anymore. Like the trauma was so big to the body that it forced birth.
Yeah.
And it was, obviously a medical emergency. So it was like going down to Maine Medical Center and ambulance being called, ambulance down to Maine Medical Center. And then, emergency C-section to deliver 3 months early.
And your mom was 19 years old at the time and your dad was 35. So significant age gap. In those 3 months while you were in the incubator, what was happening with regards to their relationship? I mean, now with legal complications added to it.
Yeah. Obviously this is a part of the story that can get blurry because there's I don't have any pictures of myself as a baby. I have one picture of myself in an incubator. But other than that, she was on a road of recovery. He went to jail for a couple of months, but I don't have a relationship with my biological dad. So the stories that I know of that time have been me parsing the details together, whether it be from my mom growing up. Like that's obviously something that's really hard to tell your daughter when they are too young to hear it. So it was always this conversation of like, you were born early, but then as I got older, I started getting more information as to why and how, which I wish honestly I had sooner in my life. I know it's a scary thing and very hard to tell your children that, but I think it would have made a little more sense to me about why I was the way I was or why I had so much crippling anxiety. But I think that requires a parent to be emotionally evolved themselves.
So when did you really find out the details surrounding your birth?
I think the first time I was told the details, I was probably like 15.
Oh, wow.
And then honestly, I've had a very tumultuous relationship with my mom. So for a long time, it was very much I think this is what happened to me, but it felt very shameful to ask those questions and to get into that conversation. And when I was like 28, I had a point where I was trying to bring my mom back into my life. And I asked her point blank because I needed that closure of like, did this actually happen to me? And you, honestly, did this happen to you? Which happened to me? And she was much more in depth and specific about exactly what happened, about the control of the relationship, about being 19 years old, being ostracized from her family as the black sheep that was having a child out of marriage, and not really having anybody to lean on, which created her leaning on a man who was, who was incredibly controlling and abusive.
All right. So I want to get into all of that as the story unfolds, but back to your earliest years. Any medical complications from this being 3 months?
No.
That's insane.
Nothing. I mean, I have asthma.
I mean, that's if
Thank
that's
you,
the worst,
science.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is really crazy. And I think it's even crazier and more like profound that I've been able to go through life. I was an incredibly athletic kid. I played lacrosse. I played basketball growing up. I was super active. I was a gymnast. I didn't have any learning disabilities. I stayed back a grade in first grade, but that was because I was so emotionally not well as a child because of the traumatic experiences and the neglect and the instability that I had in my life. It wasn't a mental delay. It wasn't an educational delay at all. It was because I didn't have the ability to focus on school because I was so traumatized and anxious all the time.
Yeah. So in those earliest years, I believe you told me that your parents had joint custody of you despite your father's legal record and what happened. So you did have to spend a considerable amount of time with him.
Yep.
What was that like?
I think when you're a kid, like you can't conceptualize like why something is wrong, but you can feel that it's wrong. And you can know that every time this man picks me up at the door, my mom is hiding behind the door. And every time I get in his car, I just get this weird feeling. Like every time I go to his home, I have this out of body, hypervigilant, very anxious experience that I cannot control in any way. I mean, I was hiding in closets, calling my mom on the phone repeatedly over and over and over again, dialing her phone number, you know, like the old school, like handheld phone with like the numbers that would like light up. It's like, I can remember it. It was like a gray phone. And then the numbers were white. And then every time you pressed it, they would turn green. And you're like dialing, calling, redial. And he was never physically abusive to me, incredibly emotionally abusive and neglectful. And so it left me feeling incredibly unsafe. I didn't know this person. He was my biological father, technically. And in the state of New Hampshire, he had custody and rights, which really I was just a pawn in the game. There was he didn't really want me. He didn't care about me. He didn't want to create a relationship with me. It was that I was a pawn in the game with my mom. And so, yeah, it was incredibly scary as a child to go to a home where you don't know this person. And all they do is, you know, he's trying to make me feel comfortable, but it felt so uncomfortable. Trying to buy me new clothes or take me on adventures. And I'm like, it was very out of body experience, while also simultaneously being like, shut up, you're fine. Stop crying, get over it. And having his own, you know, drinking problems. We were stopped multiple times for him drunk driving with me in the car. You know, he was also a drug dealer. So I didn't know all this when I was a kid. But again, you have the feeling, you know what that feels like.
So you didn't feel any sense of love or warmth or like he actually cared about you?
Absolutely not.
Wow.
No. That was shown to me by his actions of, it's the father-daughter dance. And I'm standing at my door and I'm 8 years old and I'm waiting in my dress for my dad to get there. And he never shows up. Or I'm doing a play and he said he'll be there. He called and he told me like, I'll be there. I want to watch you. And I'm on the stage at the play and I'm just scanning and searching the crowd. Like, where is he? Is he going to come? Is he going to show up? Never showed up. Never said sorry. Never explained why. And so I think I, at an early age, knew not to expect people to follow through on their word, which is really sad.
Yeah. I know you tried to live as normal of a life as you could, getting involved in sports and all the extracurriculars and hanging out with friends.
Yeah.
When you saw some of your friends, I imagine, who had stable home lives with two loving parents, did that make you feel any type of way?
For sure. I mean, thank God for therapy. Thank God for, I've done EMDR, I've done talk therapy. It truly changed my life. But yeah, I still do as an adult, right? Like I adore and love it so much. I'm such like a cheerleader for my friends and the people that I love. And we have a really good friend who, my husband and I went to college with, and he has the most beautiful, quintessential 4 kids. They're from Minnesota. And like, I'm going to cry thinking about it because I look at him and he's now made his own beautiful family with his 2 boys and his wife. And I look at him and I'm like, oh my God, like, it's just so beautiful. Like what it would feel like to grow up in a family that had dinner together every night, whose parents were on speaking terms, like who, showed empathy and kindness and love to their kids. And, I think as a child, it was very hard, but again, like you're a kid. So it's like the hardest part was when they're like, do your family tree, like draw your family tree, or like, oh, it's Father's Day. Draw a picture of your dad. Draw a picture of your dad with like the thing you love to do most with him. I'm like, actually nothing. Yeah. I love to do nothing with him. Yeah. And yeah, it felt incredibly lonely. And I think I'm still wrestling with that feeling even now that I don't have parents. I have one parent who is my mom, who I don't have a relationship with because she, it's very, very toxic. And she has not been able to work on herself and has her own demons that she fights every day, with alcohol. And then, my dad, my biological dad, he was off my birth certificate at 12.
Right. And I want to come back to that in a moment because obviously that's huge. But before then, you had told me that you and your mom were moving around on the Seacoast together a lot.
Yep.
Your parents weren't on speaking terms. Can you describe for me what growing up with your mom looked like?
So my mom, is and was growing up a very interesting person. She was the life of the party. She was the most beautiful, the most fun. If there was a party, she was at it. If there was a dance floor, she was on it. Like, she is the light of the room. And I credit a lot of my self-confidence to her, which is interesting because I think that confidence was actually a bit of a facade for a lot of trauma and emotional neglect that she never dealt with. And so it's interesting that I've actually grown up to be a woman who is very stable and very confident because it wasn't always genuine for her. Like, she was a person that never took no for an answer. Like, she was always trying to figure it out, even though she was creating her own problems, even though she was creating the chaos that she was inside of, but she never like gave up from finding the solution. She just didn't know there was a better way and a more healthy way to do it.
She did the best with the tools that were given her.
So I think that phrase is funny because I always, I thought that for a long time of like, that phrase of, they're doing the best they could with what they had. And I don't fully believe that because I don't think if she really sat down and had the ability to look back, I don't think she would have said I was doing my best. I think, yes, she didn't have the tools and she didn't know, but I don't think she was doing her best. And so I think both things can be true there. And you can hold both things, that she was trying, but she was also creating an incredibly tumultuous and unstable lifestyle for myself and my sister. And I think part of me not wanting to say she was doing her best is that's almost letting people off the hook for the poor decisions they make. And so what I've come to say is you can hold both things at the same time. She can have tried, but she also can have not done her best.
And so, as you said, she was the life of the party, charismatic. And there were a number of men in her life. And growing up, you had a bunch of guys in your life that, were there one day and then gone the next. Although one man who was on the wealthier side did stick around for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. My sister and I always say, like, we could write a book about the men that have been in and out of our lives. I think, obviously I don't want to weaponize that. Like, she was a single mom that was trying to find her person. And so, yeah, you got a date, right? Maybe she shouldn't have introduced us to her dates on the second date or the first date. But yeah, I completely get the struggle that single moms go through of, how do I date? How do I introduce these people to my children? It's going to be a very hard road. What if it doesn't work out with this person? But I think it was much deeper for my mom of, this need for validation and need for love. Like, I think a big part of why our childhood was so tumultuous and chaotic was because she was just searching for the next, honestly, like, hit of love, hit of joy, hit of anything that could make her feel better, but never wanted to deal with the underlying problems. And so my sister and I always joke that we could write a book like the 18 boyfriends of my mother.
Right. But also, needed support as well. She was working multiple jobs, living paycheck to paycheck to support you too. And then, oftentimes not even making rent on time.
Oh, yes. Yeah. She was the person that was the epitome of the true single mom. Like, she had 2 kids. She was working her butt off being a real estate agent. This was 2008. So wasn't a great time to be selling real estate with the crash of the market. And then, she was waitressing a lot. And I think that she did what she could in that time to try to provide for us. But the consistency was never really there. And so I think when you are the life of the party and you want to kind of bop around and don't put down some consistent roots, I think it can lead to chaos. So I think, again, like two things can be true. Did she work really hard? Did I see her working every day to try to, make ends meet? Yes. Do I think that she could have maybe made some different choices in her life to not make it so hard for herself? Yes. Was the heat and electricity turned off and she had to use diesel fuel to heat our heat in the middle of winter? And, we had the landlord knocking on our door every month for months because she was behind on her rent? Yes. Was she trying to, have a waitressing job and figure this out as a, let's say at that time, I think my age now, probably like 33-year-old woman without a college degree who really for the majority of her life had lived off of her spouse's income. And to your point, like my mom met her ex-husband, her first ex-husband, who we had some years in there where there was stability because he had money and he had a stable job. And so she latched very heavily onto that, but never really built anything for herself. And so I think when that happens, it makes it very hard without a college degree, right? Without a lot of references, et cetera, to then go build something for yourself as a single woman.
So your mom's first ex-husband gave a little stability to your life. And it is at this point that now that you actually had some funds to work with, you wanted to challenge your biological father in court.
Yes.
What was the result of that?
So this was interesting because I think I would honestly attribute my adult success to this experience of finally saying, fuck you, I'm not doing this anymore. And I don't need to do this anymore. So I think it's at 12 or 13 in the state of New Hampshire. I might be wrong on this. Might have to fact check this. But I think at 12 or 13, you can decide if you want to go. But essentially, what happened was I was, had 50-50 custody. And there was a day where, he just got fed up with me calling my mom, with me not wanting to be there, with me constantly. I wasn't fun to be around. I was anxious. I was neurotic. I was, I was a child that was crawling out of her skin because I was so uncomfortable. And, he said, if you call your mom to come pick you up, don't ever come back here. And I looked him right in the face and I said, great, I won't. And I called her and she came to pick me up. And this started the months-long sort of battle of the legal battle of getting him off of my birth certificate. And I really do thank my mom's ex-husband for providing the money that it took to be able to do that. Because the state of New Hampshire really, and I think it's still this way, really wants, if there's two parents, they want those two parents in the child's life, no matter what. And I think that parent has to have done something major. I don't know how abuse to the mother is not major.
Yeah.
But the system is really messed up. The system needs some help there.
I keep running across, for as much as we love New Hampshire and we love the Seacoast, there's a lot of backwards things about this state.
Oh, hell yeah. Live free or die, baby.
Jeez.
But yeah, so I think my mom finally, I was like, let's do it. Like, I'm done with this. I'm done with living in this state of being. And I really pride her on, helping me get to that place to fight him in court. I had to go in court. I had to give a whole testimony. I don't know if it's called a testimony, but I had a statement essentially. I had to give a statement. I think it was when I was 12 or 13 and say why I didn't want him on my birth certificate anymore. And that was an incredible day. It was like, oh my God, they said yes. Like we can do this now. Now I can, move forward, which the moving forward kind of, we started moving backwards because my mom and her ex-husband separated, which we had about 5 or 6 years there that were a little more stable, which led to my biological father being off my birth certificate and feeling like, oh my God, maybe things will start to change. And then my mom and her ex-husband go through their own infidelity and, separation, and then ultimately divorce. I think not until I was 17 or 16, but it started some seriously tumultuous years there, going into high school.
So your father could not legally see you under any circumstances after that.
Yep. Yeah.
Did you hear from him at all in those years? Could he contact you?
You want to know the funniest thing? I don't think it's okay. It's not funny. It's funny to me because when you live through trauma, you make levity of everything. But the funniest thing was I could totally see how I was a pawn in your game, because the moment that happened, it was like, bye. I'll never contact you again. There was maybe 1 or 2 attempts at phone calls, but no. He had a daughter from a previous relationship, and we tried to stay in touch. And obviously, life happens and our only connection is him. So that makes it really hard. But she texted me this past fall and was like, hey, do you have some time to get on a call? And I was like, The only reason why she'd be reaching out to me to get on a call is because something's wrong. So I was like, yeah, like I'm available. And she called me and she was like, hey, I have some hard news to tell you. And I'm like, oh God, is she sick? Like, what's happening? And she's like, he died. And I was like, what? Meanwhile, I was in my first trimester of pregnancy with my second daughter. And I'm sitting on the couch and I'm just like, in your first trimester, it's a nightmare. You're like super emotional. You're sick all the time. It's not a great place to be. And I was sitting on the couch and I'm like, what? And she's like, yep, heart attack. Just keeled over dead. I was like, the amount of like relief and joy that we both felt. And she goes, it feels so weird right now that I'm like jumping up and down for joy that this person is no longer on this earth. And I just said to her, like, I didn't know I needed to hear that. I didn't know that my whole entire life I was waiting for him to be off this earth. She goes, I know, right? Like, isn't it so wild to be excited for your biological parent to be gone from this earth? And she was like, no one else understands it. Everyone's like, oh, I'm so sorry for your loss, like condolences. And she's like, no need. Like, send me flowers, you know? And we're the only two people that really get that. I think it's incredibly difficult when you're estranged from your family and have any sort of estrangement. You know, there's been a ton of talks recently, whether it's Oprah or, a ton of talks recently. Any psychologist who is like, become more like Instagram famous is talking so much about estrangement from family. And you don't know it unless you know it. It's like one of those, like, if you know,
right,
sort of things.
So your whole life you lived with this underlying fear the entire time, just kind of always constantly on edge.
Yeah.
Because of the tumultuous childhood and knowing your father, could reappear at any time. When your sister did relay those words to you over the phone, can you describe the feeling that coursed throughout your body at that time when you received the news?
I mean, joy, relief. I just started crying. I was like almost dumbfounded. I'm
imagining just like the shoulders just like dropping as low as possible.
Troy, how do you know that I hold all my tension in my shoulders? Yeah. Oh my God. Like just a complete relief. I mean, I said to my husband, I was like, what do I get myself as like a prize for this? Like, right. I deserve like a nice handbag or something to like memorialize this. And right. Like, isn't it so weird? Like, it's such a crazy thing to say that about someone that like about your parent, but like again, it's like, if you know, like you have to have gotten to such a place. Like people don't want to be estranged from their family. Mm-hmm. People don't want to not have a relationship with their parents or your sister or your uncle. Like that is the last resort. It's not it's not the one thing they did. It's all the things that amounted to estrangement that weigh on you over time.
Considering the circumstances you were born into, the abuse you suffered through being estranged from your father and your mother not being the mother you needed her to be, no one would have faulted you had you just followed in their footsteps and gone into a life of debauchery and just being one of those kids who just never realized their potential just because of the hand that they were dealt. But it seems that you made a very clear decision. I'm not going to be like them. How did you not become a statistic?
I have a family friend who every time we talk about anything that happened in my childhood or anything we discuss of that I hear that's happening with my mom currently, or she always just looks at me and says, I don't know how you ended up the way you ended up. And in that is such pride from her, right? Like she was one of the most stable people in my life when I was a teenager. And she was actually one of my mom's friends growing up. And they ended up parting ways because of her very chaotic, tumultuous ways. But she became my like safe harbor throughout my high school years. And she's still that person for me. And I don't want to say that like hard work was like in my veins. But I feel that I have always been a person that does not take no for an answer. Like, you tell me no, I'm like, fuck you. I'm going to find a way. My aunt, again, like my mom's sister, one of my mom's sisters, I have had some incredible women in my life who have showed up for me and been like surrogate parents to me and shown me stability. And again, like she has this motto that's just like, everything is figure outable. We'll always find a way. And so I think, what does Oprah say? Like she always says, like, it's not, she has this book called What Happened to You. And it was the best book I ever read because it's not what's wrong with you. Everyone says, what's wrong with them? It's what happened to you to make you act the way you did. And I think for me, being able to have these incredible foundations of a few women in my life that showed me I can be something different than how I grew up. And this firm belief that nothing is too big of an obstacle. If I already went through all that shit, I can literally do anything. You know, if that was how I came into this world, then no obstacle is too much for me. And I just live with this feeling that, you know, you are not a victim of your circumstance. And for some people, that can be looked at as very harsh. I do have a perfectionist mentality, but I think that's because I lived in some serious hard shit and I figured it out. So don't tell me you can't. It's that you don't want to, or you don't have the tools right now, or the capacity or the ability right now to put your all into working on yourself.
When's the memoir coming out or the public speaking tour? I mean, this story, I mean,
thank you.
It's Hollywood's not good enough for it.
Oh my God. Thank you. That's very sweet. I do a lot of work with Haven in the Seacoast. They're amazing.
Yeah.
If my mom had Haven as a resource in 1993, I truly think the trajectory of her life could have been different.
Yeah.
And, you know, I started out really small. Like I was just kind of donating a little bit. And, you know, they're a nonprofit organization that helps people who have suffered through domestic violence with resources, with housing. And I found them like on a whim. I think it was like 2012. I wanted to start getting like more interested in the community. And so I found them and I just donated like a little bit from my check, like every month, because it just felt like a good thing to do. And then once I got to a place in my life where I was financially stable and the company was financially stable, I was like, okay, we're going to make more large scale donations. And so I've just become more involved in their organization. I'm on their steering committee for the new housing project that they're doing. They're building some housing units on Route 1 for a shelter. And they, you know, I hosted a party with them to garner like awareness about what they do. And they asked me to share my story. So I'm actually speaking as the opening speaker at their gala they host in October. So I'm excited for that. I think, you know, I've lived with this story and it's kind of just been, there necessarily hasn't been shame around it because what could I do? I was a fetus in the womb, right? Like I couldn't control what was happening. But I think for me to know that I have a little small part in helping spread awareness to have it not happen as much or to help someone else who might be in that situation feels really good.
Yeah.
So I'm nervous to speak. I mean, I think they have like 300 something people there, but I'm like, I can do it.
Coming up, how Lauren overcomes a tumultuous childhood to build the Seacoast life of her dreams. That's next. But if you follow Seacoast Stories on Instagram, then you've seen me post an astonishing amount of espresso martini content. But despite that, I assure you I am very into health and wellness, and now as a constantly stressed business owner myself, recovery is vital to staying healthy and sane. I know I'm not alone in this, and that's why places like Degree Wellness are essential for people like us. Starting next month in Northampton, Degree is creating this beautiful, spa-inspired wellness and recovery studio where investing in your health actually feels enjoyable. We're talking full body cryotherapy, red light therapy, infrared saunas, cold plunges, compression massage, oxygen therapy, LED light facials, even vitamin C showers, aromatherapy, and your own private suite so you can really unplug for a little while. But Degree isn't just about recovery. They also have a whole medical side of the business, staffed by registered nurses daily, which is what really sets them apart from other recovery spots. That includes IV drips, nutrient shots, and NAD+ therapy, so you can access more personalized wellness services all under one roof. Plus, the experience itself is pretty darn nice. You just show up as yourself, and they'll provide the robes, the towels, slippers, water. They've thought of everything. You just walk in, take a deep breath, and slow down. And right now, they're offering a founding member special where you'll lock down a discounted rate for the lifetime of the membership, plus get invited to an exclusive VIP week to experience the studio before anyone else. And you can even bring unlimited guests. So if you're curious about Degree Wellness, check out our sponsors section in the show notes and lock down your founding membership today. All right, let's talk professional. So your now husband, Chris, he himself actually comes from his own traumatic backgrounds, which we don't need to get into that, but perhaps a story for a different day. You guys meet in high school, fall in love. He goes off to Middlebury College in Vermont. You start at Keene State and then go to UNH, which you paid your way through, by the way. At this point, what were you studying? What did you go to school for? What were you envisioning your career to look like?
So I went to school to be a teacher because teachers changed my life when I was in elementary school. Like, obviously, growing up in such a tumultuous environment, having a teacher that got it and was there for me. And like, I had teachers when I was in kindergarten, all the kids would be playing and they would lay out a mat on the floor for me to sleep on because I was so emotionally exhausted that I couldn't stay awake in class because my nervous system was so overloaded. And so again, I was like, well, I want to be that teacher to a kid. Like, I want to do that for a child. And so I went to school to be a teacher. I worked 3 jobs throughout college to put my way through school. And my grades were not great. Let's just say that. Like, I was working and the number one priority was to pay my rent. And so I squeaked my way through UNH and I didn't end up getting into their master's program that was for teaching. And so I was like, oh shit, like that's what my sights were set on forever. Like that was my only option. Like, what am I going to do now? And actually I had started a blog, and I started a blog when like blogging was new. It was like 2010.
Oh yeah.
Like back in the day, like
Yeah.
it was like you would take like a grainy post and put it up and then just like write paragraphs and do like little hyperlinks at the bottom if
Was
you
it
wanted to
on
link
Tumblr?
something. Oh, a Tumblr. But then I also had a Wordle. Not Wordle. WordPress.
WordPress.
Wordle is a game, and I love that game.
Yeah.
But WordPress.
Yeah.
It was a WordPress account.
God, I hated WordPress.
Oh my God, I know. It was so hard to figure out. But I taught myself all that. And I was like, okay, I'm going to start posting, and I'm just going to do it for fun. Like, I'm going to share my Target finds. I'm going to share recipes. I'm just going to share fun stuff.
She's an influencer, people. Oh, gee.
And so I started an Instagram that coincided with the blog, and people started following me, and I started linking to these articles that I would write. And I was like, wait a second, I'm really good at this. Like, I'm really good at marketing. And so when the whole being a teacher thing didn't work out, I was like, what else can I do? I was like, well, I'm not just going to play it small. I'm going to go apply to the marketing internship at Timberland. Like, who does she think she is, everybody? But I was like, I'm going to go apply to the marketing internship at Timberland, and I'm going to knock it out of the park, and I'm going to get the job. And like, I was just like, this is perfect for me.
And did not study marketing in college?
No.
Okay, great.
No. And I got the job. And so I learned so much. Like, shout out to all of the people at Timberland that like taught me so much. And they would give me books on marketing. And I was just like devouring marketing. And I worked there for like 2 years. And at that time, Chris was apprenticing with his dad. So his dad, uncle, and grandfather are all builders. They all build homes in more like the Lakes region area. And he really wanted to go out on his own and start a building company. And he was like, but I know jack shit about marketing and I don't want to be building decks my whole life. He's like, so will you do this with me? Like, I think we could do this. Like, I think we could build a company. And I was like, well, let me think about it. And he's like, I don't know if I can do this without you. And I'm like, well, that's adorable, but let me think about it. And so I did the marketing thing. I went on and I was like, okay, what are these like Seacoast building companies doing? What are their downfalls? What do they do well? And at that time we were renovating a home. So we got out of college and we bought a house for $50,000 in Rochester.
Wow.
The price of a car.
And this is like
2016.
Great year. Okay. So you graduated 2016.
Yep. And we bought the house with a tiny down payment from my husband's family. They were like, we wanted to give you something for college graduation. And so we will co-sign on the house with you. And like literally the co-sign, it was $50,000. So it's like, you need to put up like $10,000. Like it wasn't a lot of money.
Untraditional college graduation gift.
Totally. His grandmother.
An edible arrangement. You're out here.
Yeah. His grandmother had been saving and they were like, you can either use this for your wedding or you can put this into a home if you want. And we were like, fuck the wedding. We'll put this into a house. So what we ended up doing was they ended up, putting the money down with some of the money we got from his grandmother. We bought this house for $50,000. We renovated the whole thing together. And I started falling in love with design, like doing that as well as sharing it on my blog. So sharing it on my blog and people were obsessed. They were like, it was like Home Depot-esque. Like it was not this beautiful, but I was like, whoa, okay. So I was like, well, what if we start an interior design and construction company? Because I don't just want to be like your side piece that like does your office, I don't just want to like be your marketing girl or like be the traditional wife of the builder that like they're bad at numbers or they don't know how to do the books or they don't know how to, respond to an email. So their wives, will do it for them. And I was like, no, I want to create a company. And so we were like, okay, we'll be a design and build company. There aren't really any in the area. There's maybe one or two who do something similar to what we do. And so we just began. And that was in 2018.
So this house that you bought for $50,000, were you living in it or this? Okay. So you were living in it.
We basically got it. There were like needles under the baseboards.
Yeah.
It was like a crack house. I'm not even joking.
I mean, yeah, for $50,000, I would think so. So you renovate it and you do end up making a profit on it.
Yep. We sold it for three times what we bought it for.
Incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And so take me back into you said you were doing your research and looking at the downfalls of some of the other building companies. What were some of those holes in their businesses that you identified that you thought, wait, we can do this better?
I could go on for days.
Okay, well, keep it in layman's terms for us generalists over here who don't understand.
Yes. So the biggest thing in our industry is a lot of builders in the area are owner operators. So they are builders where they're on the site building the project while they're also doing all of the operational tasks to run their small business. They may have a helper, one or two people. They may sub all of their work out and bring in the framing crews and bring in all of these crews. So they're not running a business like a business. They are, the estimates are on a legal pad. Maybe they've updated to like Excel. But it was very rudimentary. And we've found that in this industry, it's all, old white men with the gray hair. And they're phenomenal builders. I think that was what we found, was that the Seacoast area has a lot of really incredible builders. But not a lot of people think about the client experience and think about how their client is going to go through this process of spending the most money they have ever spent in their whole life. And how are you going to make that process enjoyable for them? How are you going to make it not stressful for them? How are you going to make them feel secure in the experience, where the majority of builders you're seeing are not providing an accurate price up front, and you're getting to the end of the project and there's like, $30,000 of overages because they just didn't estimate properly. And so we were like, we're going to create a company that focuses on the client experience and takes the client through a process that feels very elevated and gives them a budget by the end of design that is what you're going to pay. We're not going to do this cost plus where there's overages at the end that the clients can't expect. And we're going to be the control freaks that we are, and we're going to control all the pieces. So we're going to bring in our preferred architect. We are going to do the interior design in-house. We are going to manage the civil engineers. We are going to manage the zoning and planning component of a build project. So we're going to design it. We're going to work with a preferred architect. We have carpenters in-house. We're going to build it, and we're going to manage the project throughout the whole thing. And we had massive success right from the beginning because it was completely different than what everyone else was doing.
So Otter Creek Homes, both then and now, owns every step of the home building process, so that for the client, it's as easy and as stress-free as can possibly be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that was our differentiator, was that we brought in interior design, we brought in construction, we brought in management, and we brought in the architectural component. So a client doesn't have to go to an architect and say, well, I think I kind of want to build this house and this is what I want in it. And then they have to go bid it out to 3 different builders. And then they have to go hire a designer, and they have to pay separate fees for each party. But at the end of the day, an architect is great at their expertise, but they're not great at budgeting the project, because that's not what they do every day. They draw. They're great at drawing a beautiful home, but they don't know how much that's going to cost. Mm-hmm. And so it's a waste of clients' time to go hire an architect to then just go hand it to a builder to say, oh, I really don't want to spend $5 million. My budget was $3 million. It's like, well, you just had a whole set of architectural plans built for a $5 million house that you didn't even want to spend in the first place.
Right.
So we were like, how do we make this process better? And that's really what we set out to do from the beginning, was make the process better.
So founded in 2018, pretty much a success from day one. And then the pandemic really helped take you guys to the next level.
Yeah. Which is really surprising, because pandemic was really scary. It was like, oh my God, we just started a company 2 years ago.
I know exactly what you're going to say, because so many people on the show have said this, is that the pandemic sucked, like fear, hysteria everywhere, so much sadness and heartbreak, but like we were crushing it.
Yes.
Everyone around here is saying that.
Yes. And construction was an essential business.
Right.
So there were some businesses that were essential that did not need to stop work. And thank whatever is up there that we were one of those essential businesses. And people started living at home, not going into work, and saying, oh shit, my house is tiny, looking around constantly. This is not the aesthetic I want. It doesn't fit my family. And so we just got an influx of inquiries of, I want to do an addition. I want to renovate my whole home. I want to build a new house on this piece of land because our old home we're outgrowing and we love to entertain and we're a large family. And people were they just felt like they were on top of each other. And so our business boomed in 2020. And so we said, oh shit, we got to staff up. It was just Chris and I was doing the design. He was doing the construction at that time. And we had hired 2020, at that point, we had hired 2 employees. So we hired Luke, who was our lead carpenter now, and he's our site super now. But he was our first carpenter, and he was just like Chris's helper in the field.
Wait, for those first 2 years, Chris was the only person building homes?
So we were doing smaller scale projects in the first few years.
Not quite the big luxury homes.
We were doing kitchen renovations. We started out super small with things that we could manage ourselves and take on because the process and the experience was so important. So we're like, if we're going to focus on the process and experience, we can't be overloaded and overwhelmed with the size and scale of project. So we started really small, and we started with kitchen renovations, bathroom renovations, basement renovations. And then COVID happened, and it was like, we want to add an addition. We want to renovate our whole house. And so our breadth of project went up.
Got it.
From there. And so, now in 2026, we're focused on large scale renovations, $500,000 and up, and new builds over $1 million. So we've gotten into that scale that we've wanted to get to, but then it was small.
Right.
Yeah.
So the clients, how much input do they have in this whole process? Are they constantly on you at every hour of the day, or is it like, just sit back, honey, we got it?
Yeah. So that's a great question. I think it really surprises people when they work with us who have worked with other firms, because they only know construction and design as one way, where, they don't look ahead. They don't plan ahead. It's like, I need you to go to the plumbing house. I need you to pick out all of your plumbing by tomorrow. And it's like, what? First of all, why am I going to the plumbing house to pick out the plumbing as the homeowner? And why do you need it tomorrow? Why couldn't you have told me this 4 months ago? So that's the way that our industry has really run for a long time. And for us, we just do it completely differently. So we have such a focus on the design process and the pre-construction process of setting everything up for construction. So we work through design months ahead of start of construction. We have a fully baked design in a binder, in a metaphorical binder, in Google Drive, ready to go for our team, for the carpenters in the field, months before construction begins. And for a client that is coming to us, we get very granular on what it is they're looking for in their design. And we say, like, we are the experts, trust us in what we do. Is it hard some days for clients to trust us? Yes. Again, they're spending the most money they've ever spent. So I understand it. But our job as designers in the interior design side of what we do is to design them the home that they've always dreamed of. So it's extrapolating all of those questions of, do you want heated floors? Do you want a gym in your house? Do you want a water spigot as well as a faucet? Is there anything that's super important to you in the design? What colors do you hate? Right? Like we're picking out all of these really important things, and we're taking a super complex process to develop an aesthetic and nail it down. Along with the functional, the spatial planning side of design as well. Like a lot of people just think it's the pretty cabinetry, or it's the pretty things you pick out. It's the tile, but it's also the elevations. It's the height of your towel bar. It's how high your pendant's going to hang on your dining table. And so we manage all of that with clients to let them sit back and relax. Like you said, yes, it's your home. You're going to be living in it. I want you to love the wallpaper on the walls, but I don't need you to go to Scalamandre and pick out your wallpaper yourself. That's my job.
Right.
So it is a lot of the sit back and relax.
Yeah.
And we've got this.
I imagine it's got to be so personally fulfilling for you, that you are able to create homes so that families can create memories in the ways that you personally did not get to have in your childhood.
Yes.
And B, that this business is now affording you to live the kind of lifestyle that was in your wildest dreams as a 9-year-old growing up around here.
Yeah. I mean, it blows me away every day. It's insane to me. Like I have to stop and really reflect and like sit down with a journal and like really reflect on it, because it's so difficult to allow myself to sit in that place of, you did it. Like, you've made it for yourself. You've worked so fucking hard. Now enjoy the fruits of your labor. But yeah, I mean, I think one of my most favorite things is giving that to my daughters and then doing this as a job. Like, I didn't have that stable, as much as my mom tried to do that. We're bouncing around from house to house throughout my childhood. And to be able to create that for other families is just really cool. And to have created such a successful company that I can create such a stable life for my children and our family. It's just such a beautiful thing. It's honestly feels surreal some days. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I did this. Like, I did it. It's crazy.
When you're enjoying a quintessential Seacoast summer day, maybe you're at the beach or you're at the park, you're at Prescott Park enjoying a concert, whatever it is. You're there with your husband, whom you own this amazing company with. You're there with your now 2 children. You recently had another one, so congratulations there.
Thanks.
Do you ever just step back from it all and take in the life that you've created, which was at one point unfathomable?
Yeah. I have these moments where I'm just like, not to boast and be a bougie bitch over here, but we recently just joined Wentworth Country Club, and my husband Chris loves to golf. Like, he played golf in college. He loves golfing. And so we really joined because, like, he loves to golf, but they also have a social membership where they have a pool. And when I was in college working 3 jobs, I was a nanny pulling up in my 2-door Honda stick shift Civic, bringing the kids I nanny to the country club and feeling so out of place. And now I walk in there with my kids and my husband, and I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, I did that. Like, and it's not about the material stuff. It's not about the clothes or the car or the things. It's about the fact that I stopped a generational cycle. I'm in a committed, loving relationship with an incredible partner who sees relationship as equal. I work my ass off every day to have a stable company that I can provide a great living for myself and my family. We can provide a great living for ourselves and our family and the families of all the other people that work here. And I'm emotionally evolved and stable enough to get to a place where I can sit back and say, I deserve this. And even if you asked me 3 or 4 years ago, I don't know if I would have said I deserved it. I may have said, yeah, but I, still have to keep working myself to the bone, because what if one day this all goes away? Because that was my trauma talking, right? But now I can sit back and say, you've worked your ass off to get here. So, go get a virgin margarita and sit here and watch your husband play with your kids in the pool, because you deserve it. And I think about that little girl that was 6 years old hiding in the closet. And I'm like, my kids will never have to do that. And that's like, no money can buy that, That's the best feeling in the world.
I'm so happy for you guys.
Thank you.
I do have one question I want to ask you. So I've been on the Seacoast for 3 years, and I spent a lot of time in different facets of the Seacoast internet. And there's one thing that I know longtime Seacoast residents hate. It's newcomers like me, and it's luxury homes, condos, lots of money being shown off. So I'm just wondering if you guys get any pushback for the work that you do in the area for building luxury homes that for a lot of Seacoast residents, especially these days in this economy, just seems so inaccessible and out of reach.
Yeah, totally. I don't think we've never gotten push back on that because my response to that is there is something for everyone, right? There are the Chinbergs of the Seacoast that are building the more affordable condos. And I understand the notion of it. I understand that people feel like there is a need for low income housing. And I am right there with them, like pushing for that. And so, I think that it is a problem in our area. And what I can do to mitigate that is to take the money that I make from running this company very well and put it into giving back to our local Seacoast community, whether it's through Haven, whether it's through Gather, whether it's through championing other areas in the community to help uplift it. And yeah, I mean, granted, sure, it's luxury homes that we build, but everyone needs a roof over their head at the end of the day. So I do feel pride in doing that. But yeah, I rest my head easy on the pillow at night, knowing that I'm giving back in so many other ways and so many capacities.
Amazing. I do want to bring the story full circle. So as you said, your dad is no longer on this earth. Your mom still is. She's still around, and she's, she was very young when she had you. So she's only in her early 50s. What is your relationship like with her now?
The relationship has had to become non-existent. I mean, it's had to become estranged. Because her mode of operating is not safe and chaotic. And that's hard and that's sad, but you can only go into the lion's den so many times before learning from that. And so, I did that to protect myself and my family. And my only hope for her is that she does the work to work on herself. Because that's all I've ever wanted for her, was to live a happy, healthy, stable life that isn't so traumatic and chaotic. She's lived a really traumatic, hard road. Some of it self-inflicted, some of it obviously childhood based, but that's all I've ever wanted for her. And I hope that she can find that.
Are you actively trying to help in any way? Help her do the work that she needs to do? No.
I mean, I think that's a personal journey. My husband's dad, he passed away, but he always used to say, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And no matter how bad you want it for someone else, they need to want it for themselves just as bad in order to keep up with a new lifestyle, with changes, with something that feels really uncomfortable. When you've lived your whole life in trauma and chaos, calm, stable, peaceful is going to feel horrible at first. And someone needs to want it bad enough to go through the hard and the horrible and the crawling out of your skin moments of finding peace.
Knowing what you know now about how everything has turned out for you at this point, the family that you have, the husband, the kids, the company, the amazing Seacoast area that we live in, and the life that you get to live every day. What would you tell, if you had the opportunity to do this, what would you tell 9-year-old Lauren, who is fearful every day, who is being threatened by her father, who is scared to see her father, whose mom is trying to make it work, doing the best that she could? What message would you deliver to your younger self regarding how your life is going to play out?
I would say deep breaths. Hold on. You are way more capable and way stronger than you think you are. and your life is going to become something that you never could have dreamed of. Just put your head down and keep working. Put blinders on and keep going. You've got this. It's going to get so much better. And it feels really scary right now, but you can do this.
You've certainly done this. Lauren, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Again, that's Lauren Atwood of Otter Creek Homes in Northampton. To learn more about how you can build the Seacoast home of your dreams, you can visit ottercreekhomes.co. A big thank you to Lauren for so bravely sharing her story, to all of you for listening, and to Degree Wellness Seacoast for supporting stories like this one. We very much appreciate it. Speaking of community support, Seacoast Stories Dinner Club returns to Portsmouth on Wednesday, August 19th. It's presented by Portsmouth's own Partners Bank, and we already have 100 people signed up for what will be the biggest dinner club yet. It'll be one massive evening of connection and community, and we really want you to be a part of it. To reserve your seat at the table, you can visit the dinner link in the show notes. I hope you all have a great week, and if you see me around town, please stop me and say hi. I would love to hear your story.